whom we learn from in the pages of this book. We must know that spiritual maturity, we must know the kind of maturity that allows us to see ourselves honestly and all around us as God sees, and it takes time. And it takes work for us to gain that spiritual maturity. One of the problems with our no guilt trip that our society is on today is there is loss of incentive for us to repent. Why should we bother? There is loss of incentive for restitution to those that we might harm. And there's loss of incentive for improvement in our own lives. Years ago, some of you may remember, this goes way back, America's first televangelist was a Catholic gentleman from up in the East. His name was Bishop Fulton J. Sheen. John knows who he is. Bishop Sheen said, "There has been no single influence which has done more to prevent man finding God and rebuilding his own character, and has done more to lower the moral tone of society than the denial of personal guilt." Folks, we come to a place, and Bishop Sheen saw it years ago, 50 years ago, where we no longer hold ourselves accountable. We no longer hold ourselves responsible. We listen to flip. And the devil made me do it, or somebody else made me do it. And we always lay it on their shoulders. Not always, but most of the time. So since the very beginning, since the garden, our first instinct has been to blame others for our own failures, and instead of claiming responsibility for what we've done, we claim that we are victims of cruel and callous forces around us. It probably would serve us right if God simply said, and turned away and allowed us to stew in our own sins. But the good news is that's not the God who we meet in Scripture. Found another Peanuts cartoon that fits perfectly. In case you haven't figured out, I have a new Peanuts illustration book, and you're going to get tired of Peanuts and Lucy and everybody. But it's good, and it hits home. And Peanuts just hits home. Marcia is on the telephone with good old Charlie Brown, and she says, "Guess what, Chuck? Today's the first day of school." "I know that, Marcia." "Well, Chuck, I got sent to the principal's office on the first day of school, and Chuck, it was all your fault." "My fault?" Charlie Brown says, surprised. "How could it be my fault? Why do you always say everything is my fault?" "Charlie Brown, you're my friend, aren't you?" "Well, you just should have been a better influence on my life." You know, let's put it on somebody else. Put it on somebody else. So we come to a point in our society, in our lives, where we go to the restaurant and we hang our coat up, and at the end of the meal we go to get our coat, and it's gone. Restaurant's not responsible. We get on a plane, and the plane lands at our destination an hour and a half late, and we stand there around the conveyor that goes round and round and round, and our bag never shows up. But the airline is not responsible. We drive somewhere and go to a venue and park our car, and when we come back, some moron has backed into it, and there's a huge dent. And guess what? The garage, there's a sign right there, is not responsible. Well, what about us? When are we responsible? Are you responsible? Am I responsible? The devil made me do it. must be so. And that's wrong. The devil didn't make us do one thing. The burden, friends, the burden is on us. We carry the responsibility for our actions. I cannot be responsible for Wesley, nor can Wesley be responsible for me. But I've got to be, and you've got to be, for ourselves. So here we find ourselves, right in the middle of Lent, that season, the period that church calls us to rigid self-examination. And then we hear God, the creator of the universe, the God of love, who we first saw there in the Garden of Eden, and who we get to know so much better as we learn about his Son, Jesus Christ. And we hear Jesus say, "Come to me, all you who are burdened and are heavy laden. Come, and I will give you rest." All around this room, all of us have burdens. And they're different burdens. I don't know what yours are. You don't know what mine are. But I know some of them we have in common. And some of them are a sense of responsibility. We are responsible for things that were done 30, 40, 50 years ago. And I will give you rest, Jesus says. Take my burden. His burden is light. Give me your guilt. I will take it from you. But when we give our burdens to Jesus, he has an expectation. And that expectation that we grow just a little bit. That we hold ourselves accountable now. That we take responsibility for those things that we do. Lent, a time of self-examination. Look in the mirror. Look in your heart. Are we taking responsibility for who we are and what we are and whose we are and what we do? Or do we back away and lightly brush it off and laugh a little bit and say, the devil made me do it? Well, folks, the devil couldn't make Jesus do anything. The devil can't make us do anything either. Flip Wilson was wrong. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.